guys, welcome to another video on my channel. Today's video we're going to be looking at a race at Mugello on the PC driving the Porsche Cup car. So what we did, we found a lobby that was at Mugello. I hadn't done no setup work and I decided to just basically use the 10 minutes worth of qualifying to try and put together a very quick setup. And you can see when I'm driving it's not the best setup. We luckily managed to get pole by it. It was literally, I think it was like 0.024 of a second. We just scraped it. You can see at the start we got a poor start again. I stayed to the right just to stop that car behind trying to throw one up the inside, and then we brake quite late, keep it in gear. We can brake a little bit later on the PC as a lot of the lobbies have tyre wear and tyre blankets on, so you've got the grip at the start. You can see there, look how clean it is in the mirror compared to any other to the console. This is why I'm quite enjoying racing on the PC. You can see in the distance now everyone has just pretty much got through that first corner with no issues. And it's such a good feeling to do that on an online racing game, really. And it's why I'll be doing a lot more races on the PC as well as on PS4, obviously. But so the setup was not really that great, I'll be honest. We did make a few changes that helped out in the qualifying. I literally did 3 laps with my Imola setup. Didn't really find that to be working at all, so tried to just alter that a bit. And it didn't really feel great. I was having to lift off the throttle. You can see on the front end pretty much I was lifting off and having to back off where you really want to be getting on the power, but we managed to hold a good lap in qualifying for the setup basically and get ourselves pole. I mean, I would think this car, once we've got it set up properly, we should be hitting 1:49 pretty much every lap, or low 1:50s, 1:49s, but with the setup we were running here it wasn't quite right really. I was lifting off where I want to be getting on the power, and the rear end was a bit unstable in certain corners. It was still better than the default. The default, which I think we tried for a lap or something, we went out the pits and as soon as I did it, it was just spinning. So we went back in, loaded our Imola up. But you can see we got someone behind us that's really pushing us quite hard in this, and you've got a few other cars behind as well that seem to be maintaining a good speed. But we managed to hold the lead, and it looks like it's going to be a good race. So let's just watch what happens now as we're going into the first proper lap now. We're going to have a little look at the setup and see if we can pick up any points from this video where the setup could be improved. You can see there, I think we would have been best going down to second gear on that corner, but we were holding it in third just for the security on the rear end. You know, although we had the lead, we weren't really pressurised at this point. Going out there, you can see the car behind pushing really hard. He nearly lost the back end there, managed to save it nicely though. We've got a little bit of a lead now, comfortable, but nothing, I wouldn't say it's not 100% safe. He still seems to have good speed behind us, and the setup is really frustrating because you can see where I want to put the power down and I'm having to just literally feather it around, especially on this corner. Once you've got the setup right at this corner, you can normally get it so you're just coasting in and then you're getting on the power there, and you can pretty much carry that speed all the way through this corner without really lifting off. You can see we're only holding about 105 miles per hour through that corner. With the GT3s, when you've got them set up right, I know they're going to be a bit faster if they've got soft tyres on. You can hold about 118 to 120 miles per hour. I don't know if that's the same, obviously, now that we're on the newer tyre model. I haven't took a GT3 car around here since the newer tyre model. That's one thing I will have to do. Also the GT2 cars, I really enjoyed the Corvette around this track. It was a really fun car to drive on this track. It suited the track really well. But you can see now he's starting to get a little bit closer there, as we didn't do them corners well at all. We were being really cautious because one thing with myself is when I don't have a setup that suits my driving style is I have to drive really quick. You see it was understeering, and one thing I hate with any setup is a lot of understeer. I like to get on the power early as I can, as you'll see from a lot of my other setups. Getting on the power as early as you can, for me, is where I want to gain my time. I want to be able to get on the power and just have a tiniest little bit of oversteer to help us through the corners, and we had understeer with this setup, so I was having to basically drive around the setup and just see what I could do with what I had. And we were getting quite a lot of pressure. As you can see now he's getting closer, but there he nearly lost the back end there. He was so close. He must be going into second gear, I think, on that corner where I'm staying in third gear for safety, and thought I'm not going to risk going in second gear there. We do actually start trying it out. We nearly lost the back end there. We start thinking I'm going to have to start pushing a little bit harder here because he's pushing us hard at the back, and I need to start maybe adding another half second to my lap times. But now he's having that little look down the right. That doesn't faze me because, you know, I know he's not going to be able to pull a move off there. I travelled at low K speed. We took that bend really nice, but again, I had to lift off the power because the car just wants to understeer. So frustrating that it was like this when I was in it. We're gonna actually try and get back on this track in this car and get this set up where we want it so we can hit 149. You can see there, back marker's gone off the track and into the gravel trap, and he's having another look down our right hand side, you can see in the mirror, but we've managed to hold it nicely. We're not going to get phased by any fake dummies from anyone really. It's something that doesn't really bother me, that I know how to drive defensive, and I can drive defensive well, and I won't be dirty with it. If they put a move up there and they've got the move done, I would give them space, but I know where to position a car, and I know that any little fake move like that isn't really going to cause me any trouble. We get quite nice drive through them corners there, seems to be a bit better than the guy behind. And this corner again is a corner we're troubling. You can see the understeer we're getting, we're really running wide, and then I'm wanting to get on the power, but the front's just wanting to go in a straight line. It was costing me a bit. Luckily we managed to get on the power just at the right time and give ourselves a little bit of a gap to the guy behind. Maybe he was getting a bit of understeer from running in our aero drag. I'm not sure how much that affects on Assetto Corsa, but I'm guessing it will, with the physics they've got, it will have a bit of an effect on your aerodynamics. So going into this corner now, going down into third gear, and you see he's ran a little bit wide there, and he's put himself in a compromised situation, and you see he's got on the power in second gear and he's lost it into the wall and he's crashed. So the pressure's off now, and we just got to concentrate on keeping the car on the track without making any stupid errors. You can see we're actually a bit up on our lap now, but we ran a little bit wide over the curb there, maybe lost a bit of time, but I think we could have definitely got this, even this setup as it was, which wasn't really that nice, into a low 50, maybe a 50.1, 50.2. But I think once we've got it so it's a nice solid front end, got it driving and turning in nicely, we should be able to get a mid to low 49 would be my guess for this track with this car. You may be possibly able to hit a 48, a late 48, but I think you'd really need the setup dialed in perfectly. But we've still got I think there's two other cars having a good race behind us as well. Looking in the mirror, it looks like, can't fully see now. Yeah, we've got a car, maybe, let's have a look, it's 3 seconds behind, is it, on the Dells, having a look at the screen. Is it 2.5? Around 2 to 3 seconds behind us, some cars behind us, and you see how close and how much cleaner it is on PC over, you know, there's no, even the back markers will get out your way normally on the PC, I'm finding, because a lot of the lobbies that you race in, they have set rules, and if you report anyone for not obeying to these rules, I'm presuming they get some sort of like warnings in a certain amount, and then they're banned from that server. So I do find that the majority of the people are pretty clean. Even the back markers, they do get out your way when they get the blue flags. They don't try and take you out, and it's definitely a little bit more enjoyable, to be honest. So we've got a nice comfortable lead now. Now it's just about maintaining this lead, and then I thought on the last lap I'll push a little bit harder and see what this setup should be getting if I was driving a little bit harder. You see we're going down to second gear for that corner now, but just back into third as soon as I think that back end's going to be a little bit tricky to handle. So I'm just testing it out really at the moment. I'm just thinking, trying to find a way. You know, we've not done really any work on this track. I've not been on this track in a long time. So it's just about trying to get my rhythm going on the track again. One thing about it is the setup, although it wasn't the best, it was probably not as bad as what I thought, because a lot of stuff with tracks is just finding that perfect point where you put the power on. You know, a lot of people say, you know, I've got you set up, I've watched your video, I'm braking at the same point as you, but I'm 2 seconds slower. If the key to any lap for myself is where you're putting that power on. If you're getting on the power too early and then having to back off again, which you will see I'm having to do on this because I'm not 100% sure yet, and I'm trying to work it out, is you're going to lose a lot of time because you're putting that power on through a corner, which is then giving you understeer, which means you're going to have to get off the throttle and then back on at a later point than before, and then down the next straight you're going to lose maybe 3-4 attempts. If you add that up over a lap with whatever amount of bends, some straights aren't as long as others, but some are longer, you're going to lose at least 1.5 to 2 seconds. That's the key to a lap time, is finding the point where you start putting that throttle back on and putting 100% throttle in. You know, you can feather the throttle, leaving like 20-30% on at the start, and then just slowly feed it in. A lot of people you see, they'll put the power down going into a corner, they'll brake at the right time, but then they'll try and put the power on too early, which causes understeer, which means they have to back off slightly and then back on the throttle. That is really important to get that sorted for your lap time. So you see we're into low fit 51s, nothing really that great at the moment. I'm not really worried about pushing too hard. I'm coming up to a back marker, I'm thinking he's going to move out. Yeah, he does move out of the way, but it was a bit of an I didn't know which way he was going to go. Was he going to go left? He eventually just drove off the track, which was handy. Meant we could actually just take our normal line through that corner. We didn't really lose any time. If anything, we're actually up on our delta slightly, so no real loss of time there. The main areas which I think that I was picking up with this setup, with the setup of this track, is I need a stronger front end, so that the front end is basically more pointy. I basically tried to get a setup that was going to be safe, that would make sure I wouldn't be crashing too much. That was one of my main aims, because obviously going into a lobby without any setup work, you don't want to be just spinning around making a show of yourself, especially on the PC where you're getting a lot of fast drivers. So we just basically made the safest setup I could think of, and just trying to keep it nice and safe. And that's why there was a lot of understeer with the car. But I think one thing we'd try and do is maybe lowering slightly a click or so on the rear downforce to what we ran here. I think we were running 0.13 or 0.14 or something. But we definitely need a stronger front end, which we'd have to maybe look at with the cambers and stuff, because you can't run any front aero with this car, I don't think. If I remember right, I don't think you can. And you cannot alter some of the other settings which you would be able to with GT3 cars. It's quite restricting. So one thing we're going to try and do is see if we can get a nice positive front end on this car whilst maintaining that rear end as securely as possible. As you will find some of these corners, when like this last corner with the default setup, when you put the power down, it was just causing the rear to slightly slide out a bit. And on the turn 1 and also the corner before that last turn, there's the right hand, it's really tricky on the back end with the default setup, as it doesn't feel 100% right really. So you just really do need to find the setup of this track, and it's a setup I will be trying to get out, especially before the PS4 gets this content, because this car is going to get used quite a lot, I think, on the PS4, because it's quite restricting with the setup, and it's quite equal because there's not as many things you can change, and it's a really fun car because everyone's going to be equal. You got, there's no one with a performance advantage where some GT3 cars are better than other GT3 cars, especially on certain tracks. This is a completely equal car, so we'll be looking at getting a few more setups for this done on the PC to prepare ourselves for the PS4, because although the setups are very slightly different, there are a lot of stuff that is the same. So it's about 80% of the setups that you do keep the same, but there's some things that just aren't the same. You see there's a back marker I don't know if he was getting out of the way or he's just giving up. I'm not too sure what was going on there, but you can see now on the last lap we're pushing harder now, and we're half a second up. I mean, this lap should have been quite a bit faster. I thought I'd just give it a lap. I always try and do it, you see me videos, last lap I'll try and put a decent lap in and go a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressive, and just see what we could have done if we really wanted to. You can see there we turned in far too early for that corner. I don't know why I did that. Should have turned in a little bit later, but managed to get on the power nice and early. You can see there, and we're approaching nearly 6 tenths up on previous lap, which would have put us down to a 50.45 or something like that if we would have nailed this last bend, especially if we weren't doing this bend very well on any other laps. But again, we're getting that understeer again. It's one thing that's really frustrating with the car, that the way I did it out. But I think we go over the line on a 50.8 or something like that. So it was in the 1 minute 50s, nothing special. It's not going to be, this isn't a setup that I'd keep. It definitely need changing, because I want to get this car into the 1 minute 49s. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed the video of just a little race on the PC, and look out for the setup that will come for this car very soon. Thanks again for watching.